friends, Alex Blake here. Just wanted to interrupt really quick to invite you to Photo Camp. The 2025 Photo Camp is March 13th through 15th in Folly Beach, South Carolina. If you're a photographer looking to level up, find inspiration, or just build community with other creatives, this is the camp for you. So here's what we can expect. We're going to do 10 styled shoots throughout the weekend so that you can add them to your portfolios. We're also going to stay in a luxury camp house by the beach, and we have 5 educational speakers featuring sessions from Georgia and Micah McMaster, Preston Luke, Shelby Cuenca, Danielle Hickman, and me, Alex Blake. We're also going to take care of all of your meals so that you can focus on learning and creating and connecting, but spots are super limited. We already have some people signed up, and I would love for you to join us. In fact, from now until January 1st, if you mention in the application that you listen to the podcast, I'm going to give you $100 off an all-inclusive pass. So what are you waiting for? Head to photocampinfo.com to apply now, and let's make 2025 your most creative year yet. See you there. Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today we have a guest on the pod. Everyone say hey to Neshaszda. Neshaszda, you can say hey to everyone too.
Hey!
I know it's like awkward. Do I say hi? Do I wait? I love it, guys. I cannot wait for you guys to meet here. I literally just met her this morning, and I feel like we're like soul sisters. Like, I feel like we've known each other forever. So I'm so excited to get to know you, Neshaszda. This is Neshaszda, right, everybody? Guys, she has been in the business for like 9 years. I stalked your Instagram to know all of these things about you, but like 9 years is a long time in our industry, especially in like the wedding world. She's wedding photography and videography. She's known for her behind the scenes videos, especially with bridal parties. They're really fun and engaging. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Her social media success. She's got like, what, 100K on TikTok? Something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you just nod along humbly. Like, that's amazing. But yeah, I'm super excited for this conversation, guys. I can't wait to get to know you, Neshaszda. I can't wait to get to bring everyone along with us as we kind of chat about the social media world. But then also you're a Christian. So get to hear about your faith too, and get to hear about like how the Lord kind of runs your business alongside you and, you know, co-leads that with you. So I'm super excited. But first I want to hear.
Super excited.
I know. I'm so excited. I just feel like we're like meant to be friends. So this just makes me happy.
We really are. Seriously. This is heaven sent.
No, genuinely, I feel that way. So I'm so excited. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Tell us how you like discovered your passion for wedding photography. Tell us your journey. Tell us whatever you want to tell us. What inspired you? All the things.
Yes. So when I was in the military.
Oh,
and
cool.
when I was in the military, I did my first term and I got out. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to have a career that I'm not passionate about. So I prayed to the Lord. I was like, Lord, what should I do next? Because, you know, you're in that crossroads of what you should do next for your career. And I promised myself that I would give my 100%. And the Lord said, do photography. And I'm like, you know what? I do it anyway. Like my friends are always coming to me to take their pictures. So I'm just like, that's a good idea. So I did it. And then ever since, like, God has blessed my business from the very beginning. From when I posted, I've just always been having, you know, inquiries all the time. So I just know that God's hand is on it.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's how I started.
Did you already have a camera?
Did I have a camera?
Because you said you were taking your friends' pictures. Like, were you doing it on your phone?
No, yeah, like on the phone. Like I'm the girl, like when we go out or anything like that, like I'm taking everybody's pictures and things like that. And I did, my very first camera was a Nikon, which is crazy. So like I went to the PX, like that's a on base, like the military base. I went to the PX and I bought my first Nikon camera. Aww. And when I was traveling with the military, I would take pictures all the time. So yeah, I definitely had a Nikon camera for my very first camera. Yeah. I bought it.
And one of the things, guys, that I didn't mention, I know, you know what? I've weirdly had a lot of like Nikon creators on the podcast,
really?
But Neshaszda is a Nikon creator. So you can tell us a little bit about that too. But that's cool that you've been Nikon since day one and now you get to support them in that way and they get to support you, which is cool.
Yes, like that's exactly like when they reached out, when Nikon reached out, I was like, you know, I really thought it was a spam because you just never know. Like there's so many emails going out and coming in that I really responded. It was like Nikon Times and Neshaszda. I was like, okay, let me respond. We immediately got on a call and Nikki, we were just talking and she was just telling me about it and how they wanted me to come because it was wedding based. Cool. So I was like, sure. And then like, we just kept emailing and then I ended up in New York and was like, oh my goodness, what an amazing opportunity.
That's like, so cool. Cause you went to Creator Camp, right?
Yes. Yeah. I went to Creator Camp.
And that was in New York?
That was in New York.
Cool. That's
Yes.
so incredible. Yeah, I think you're like
Yeah.
my fourth Nikon creator that I've had. And I shoot Sony. I don't even shoot
Listen.
Nikon, but
No, but
apparently, like apparently I should. I don't know.
first of all, let's make sure you're next. Hello. Because I feel like at the end of the day, you know, once you're a photographer and you love what you do, like it doesn't matter what camera you shoot with, you're always gonna be able to create magic with whatever you have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like I do shoot with the Sony too, right? So when they
Cool.
called me, I'm like, oh well, I usually shoot with Sony. Like Nikon was my first camera, but as I went on my photography journey, you switch it up. Like I went from Nikon, then I went to Canon. I had my
Yeah.
Canon 5D Mark IV for like six
Oh yeah,
years.
forever. That was
And
like the
yeah,
camera for a
that
long
was
time.
that
It ran the
girl.
market, honestly.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really did because it was like so clear. The quality, the colors, you still can't like the colors on the Canon 5D Mark IV are just so classic.
I love it.
I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I realized I'm like, okay, well, let me try Sony because I was trying to get into video too. And then I
Yeah.
realized Sony's megapixels were like super high. So I'm
Yes.
like, that clarity. I feel like people are looking for that clarity
Yeah.
nowadays. So Sony. So I'm like I kind of worked my way around the
Yeah. I haven't
camera
tried
world.
Nikon yet. I mean, I've shot
Really?
on some of my friends. We were talking before we were started recording, but my friend Preston, I'll take pictures of
Yeah, yeah,
him and I
yeah.
use his Nikon, and like I like
Yeah.
it, but I started on
Yeah.
Canon and then I shifted to Sony. So I got one
Mm-hmm.
more, one or two more to check off. Actually, I just got a Fujifilm for Christmas. So really, I bounce
Ooh.
around too.
Yes, like we need
But
to be like no, but the Nikon is actually really good too. Like
yeah.
honestly, the Nikon Z6 III, like I'm not like telling no jokes. Like when I shot with that was my first time shooting with that at the creators
Mhm.
camp. So they gave it to us. They shipped it to us like maybe like 2 weeks before we left for
Cool.
camp. I didn't open the box until the night before I was about to fly out, and I was like playing with it on the plane. So we got to the set, and I'm just like, all the different functions are kind of the same, but
Mhm.
the colors on the Nikon are really
Yeah.
amazing. Like I love the color settings, like how you can set different color settings, and it really is an easy camera.
Yeah.
So I really do love it. It's really
That's what
beginner
I've
friendly.
heard too. Yeah, that's definitely what I've heard. And I know like for Preston, like when I've taken pictures of him, I'll edit them and then I also take some on my Sony and you can
Hmm.
definitely tell a difference in the colors. And then I felt
Yeah.
that way when I switched from Canon to Sony. I was
Hmm.
right about to come out with my presets. So I had them all packaged and everything and I had to do some edits after because I was like,
Hmm.
wait a minute, I didn't realize how different these colors are on a
Hmm.
Sony versus a Canon. So it is crazy
Hmm.
how much like when you go back and forth, but I kind of feel like jumping around a little bit in the beginning of your career can help you to be a better photographer because you know those
Hmm.
differences and
Hmm.
you know how to make any
Hmm.
camera work for you. Like you
Hmm.
should not be defined or owned by your gear. You should be able to pick up anything and make it work. So I love that.
Exactly.
And we weren't even planning on talking about this, but we'll see
No,
how long
no,
this
yes.
episode is
No.
because you and I can chat.
I'm a yapper. No,
Same.
but
That's why I have a
no,
podcast.
no, that's perfect for you. That is perfect. Seriously, but honestly, the Nikon. What I love about the colors, it gives me like a classic, like matte feel almost.
Cool.
It kind of gives me like an artistic type of feel, like as far as
Mm,
the colors when I do like bring it out. It doesn't have like it has like that sheen, but it gives you kind of like a realistic like feel. It's kind of like it has
cool.
like a texture to the picture. And Sony has that kind of like that shiny like new present look,
Yeah.
but I feel like that Nikon has that like classic
Yeah.
photo that will age well. Like it
That's
just kind of
cool.
it looks like magazine
Yeah.
print
Yeah.
look. I love it.
Interesting. Well,
I
maybe
love
I'll
it.
have to,
And like you said, I think it's healthy for photographers to shoot with other gear
Yeah.
as well because it does keep you creative.
Yeah,
It
totally.
doesn't get you comfortable with
Totally.
your gear.
And you can figure out what you really like. That was a big
Mhm.
thing for me too, like moving to
Mhm.
Sony. Mine was really opportunistic
Mm.
because I found a really
Mhm.
good deal. I was moving to mirrorless. It just kind of
Mhm.
made sense for me
Mhm.
at the time. But I also like can discover more of what I like. Like I know what
Mhm.
I like in different editing styles because I try different editing styles. But a lot of the time
Mhm.
people get a camera and then they just start upgrading based on whatever they started on first. So I kind of like the
Mhm.
idea of bouncing around at first to actually see what you like too. So I
Yeah,
love it. I
I
love this
agree.
conversation. But
No, I agree.
anyway, going back to
What
your story.
Okay, yes. Going back, listen, going back to the story. Yes. Okay. Let's go back to the story.
I love it.
What were you
Okay.
saying?
Basically, you started out 9 years ago out of the
Yes.
military. That's
Hmm.
incredible.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for serving too, just
Thank
in
you.
general. Thank you.
Thank you.
Especially as a woman, that's amazing and incredible. And I could
Thank you.
never, let's be real. So thank you.
Yes, you could. You
I
could
don't know.
definitely do
I don't know about it. My husband
When
has
I
to get me
joined,
coffee in the morning. Like,
no, listen, when I joined, I could not do a push up. I was like, oh my
wow.
God, how am I pass the PT test? But like the military was definitely like the hardest
Hmm.
physical challenge that
Yeah,
I ever had to
I'm
do. Cause I'm
sure.
like, you got to do like 30 push ups in like 2 minutes. I'm just like, but it was amazing.
That is
So yeah.
wild to think about. Absolutely wild. Okay, well, this might even go into something to do with the military, but I was just going to ask you, like, when you were first starting out, 9 years ago was a very different time in our
Hmm.
culture and just
Hmm.
in general. What are some challenges maybe that you had when starting out your business, and how did you really feel like you overcame them?
Challenges I had when I first started my business was literally trying to figure out what I wanted to do and how I could like really find my dream client.
Yeah,
So like you're when I first started out, I was shooting everything. So I did an
classic.
internship with Derek Blanks, and he taught me a lot about lighting and editing. So I was like, okay, I need to do an internship to learn about lighting and editing because I just how you're first when you first start out, you're kind of comparing yourself to a lot of photographers to see where you're at on the
Hmm.
scale piece. And then when I got there, a lot of the interns were like, oh, so what type of photography do you do? And I'm just like, oh, I do everything. I don't want to be in a box, da 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 da. But I realized like it is important to choose a niche that you can master so you
Hmm.
can know what your clients want before they know they want it.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it's like if you do baby sessions one day, then you're doing a wedding the next day, then you're doing a bridal shower. It's like so, like when you're doing like a cooking session the next day. It's like your palette, you're learning a lot, but you're not mastering anything
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point where So that's what I've learned is like my challenge was trying to find a niche that I can really excel in and not just be shooting just to shoot.
Yeah. How do you feel like you landed on weddings? What was it that drew you to weddings?
So I'm really self-aware of like my work and where what I can do. So what I did was I did a self-audit on my Instagram. And I was like,
Mm,
okay, what could I how what
that's
do
cool.
people want from me? So I went on my Instagram and I just looked at all my pictures that I posted because it was so many different types of photos that I posted and I just looked at which ones had the highest likes. And I'm just like,
That's
okay,
cool.
like my couple photos get a lot of likes, my like love and relationship posts get the most love, so I'm like, okay, let me focus on that.
That's
And
cool.
then being in the military, my husband was in the military. So when I got out, he was still in, right? So we were moving every 3 years. So
Wow.
I was trying to figure out a way, like, I'm like, I don't want to have to start over every time I go to a new, state. So I was like, okay, what's something that can really be worth the trip? And what do people want from me? And I put
Yeah.
those two together. I'm just like, okay, well, let me focus on weddings because if I do have to fly to Chicago or fly to Atlanta or fly to Texas, it will still financially, like business side, it still will be worth the trip instead of flying all the way from Texas to Atlanta just for a portrait session.
Hmm.
That is like it financially, it doesn't make sense. So just
Yeah.
thinking about the business side of the photography business too, because we love it and we want to shoot for whatever we'll shoot for free at the end of the
Yeah.
day, but being thinking about it on a business side and what's financially beneficial, the wedding piece, it all just kind of coincided
Yeah, it
together.
just clicked for you. That's really cool. Yeah, I live in Charleston, so we have a
Okay.
lot of people who are in the military here. I have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
friends who are spouses of military and they do photography. And one of the things
Yeah.
that they say too is they want to do weddings a little bit less for what you're saying, but more
Mm-hmm.
on the side of where they can, pitch to be destination wedding photographers. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter where they're based because they're destination.
Mm-hmm.
I also
Mm-hmm.
have one friend too, if this is, applicable to anybody, who she's the
Mm-hmm.
spouse of someone in the military and she does a lot of brands that mail to her. So it's not just like,
Mm.
oh, I'll shoot the local brands. It's like you mail me something and that she's
Mm-hmm.
built a business on that. So she can go wherever
Yeah.
because she does
Mm-hmm.
studio stuff. So she just has to have a backdrop wherever she is and the brand's mailed to her. So
Yes.
I love where you're thinking of like, okay, this is my life. This is a life I've chosen. How do I let my business fit into my life, not rule my life? I love that.
Mm.
So that's really,
Yeah.
really good. Well, one of
Yeah.
the things that I've been really tapping into in the podcast lately is kind of like how to how to bring like faith more into the podcast, kind of share more about Jesus on it and everything. And I had a podcast episode at the end of 2024 talking a little bit about that, talking about my faith. I read some scripture on it, and I had so many messages that were like, okay, can you share more about this? I really want to hear this. And I told them on the podcast, I was like, guys, I'm kind of nervous talking about this. But everyone was like, wait, we actually want to hear this. So, so when I saw that you were a Christian, kind of looking through your page and stuff, I wanted to hear from you too. Can you share a little bit about how God has maybe directed or how he's touched your business and what that means to you?
Oh yeah, like faith is number one in my business. Like God first, 100%. Like I pray over my business all the time, like asking God for wisdom. Like even on shoots, I'm praying like, Lord, please let me figure out the perfect pose for them. Like Lord, please let them love their work. Like every time I send out a gallery, I'm just like, Lord, please let them love it in Jesus' name, amen. Because it really is what, it really is based on God using you as a vessel,
Yeah.
with your gift. Like God has blessed me with this gift, and he's using me as a vessel to tell these love stories. And I just really look at it as such a responsibility. It's like a huge responsibility, and I'm so grateful that God chose me to do it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you. But honestly, when it comes to my faith, I always ask God what he wants me to do next. And you have not because you ask not. So I'm always asking God for more. I'm always asking God, like, Lord, I would love to book 30 weddings this year. I would love to do this. I would love to do that. And God always answers my prayers.
Yeah.
So I'm praying intentionally about what I want in my business. I prayed for, wanting to work with brands. I'm telling you right now, I literally prayed for this podcast interview because I prayed.
Wow.
I was like, Lord, I really want to be on a podcast. I want to be able to, speak on platforms and share my knowledge that I have. And when I prayed, like literally I think it's like the next week you reached out.
That is so cool.
So just being aligned and being super clear about what you want in your business is super, super important, because sometimes if you don't have like a scale, or if you don't have any type of goals that you're trying to reach in your business, you're going to feel like you're stagnant, like you're not moving. But in reality, you really are.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to know how to measure it and know how to like know when God has answered your prayers. Like, oh, I have a list of all the things that I asked God for, and he blessed me on all of these things, So you have not because you ask not. So being really vocal and intentional with your prayer life is important in your business. That's how I feel like God has blessed me, because sometimes people are like, oh, how did you get this? How did you get that? Oh, how did you get the Nikon Creator Camp thing? God, really?
Yeah.
Like God really, like out of all the photographers in the entire world, somebody landed on my page. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
that's really nothing but the Lord.
I
And
love that.
and realizing that it's not about me. It's about the Lord. It's about being responsible with your gifts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I feel like
Stewarding it
sometimes
well.
being a good steward,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have such a beautiful gift and you don't steward it well, and you prostitute it for this and prostitute it for that, it's just like you're not going to be blessed. And just living a righteous life behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like being able to say, like, I did my part, I paid my tithes, and God's gonna bless me. Like I'm like, not to get too deep into the money pocket, but my experience, like 1 year I booked so many weddings, I was making so much money, but I was like, I realized, I'm like, where's my money going? Like I feel like I don't have my money. And I realized I wasn't paying my tithes faithfully. And when I told God, I said, Lord, I'm going to pay my tithes faithfully from here on out. As soon as I did that, I literally paid my tithes. The next day, I had an inquiry. Like
Wow.
you have to continue to, do right by the Lord,
Yeah.
and he's going to bless you. Like trying to keep your money in your pockets is going to burn a hole in your pockets.
That's
Like being
crazy.
able to invest in, what God's word, what his promises are, is huge.
Yeah.
Believing God's promises, He will bless you 10 times, tenfold,
Yeah.
if you tithe. So that's a lot. Like, I can go on for days, but that
Yeah.
God is
No,
good.
that's so cool. And it's not about like, some people might know this term, but like it's not the prosperity gospel, right? Like this
Mm-hmm.
isn't like manifestation, or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that where
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm going to try really hard, I'm going to put these things out into the world and then I'm going to receive them back. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you tithe or when you're praying about things in your business and it's like, God, I want these things, it's actively putting trust in him. And I like to call it
Yes.
like even if faith instead of like what if faith.
Mm.
Like I'm going to pray for this and God, what if it doesn't happen? And then there's like that mistrust in your heart. But when you pray for something or you tithe, and what tithe is basically just giving part of your money back. And biblically it's 10%, part of your money back to God, because we believe that He's blessed us with it first. And that's what a lot of Christians choose to do with their money. And it's biblical, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
we do those things, it's saying, God, I trust you. And even if these things fail, even if these things don't come the way that I expect them to, I'm trusting that you have a better plan for me. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that is Him answering our prayers with yes, yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
like you're so
Mm-hmm.
on the right path, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's Him not, and I get confused, and then He
Mm-hmm.
shows me what He really wanted. And I'm like, oh, dude, I can't even believe that I wanted
Mm-hmm.
that little thing, because it's so
Yes.
different. But when we put our plans and our trust in His hands, we can
Mm.
know it's going to be so much better. And that's what being blessful, like tenfold is, that's what like it's
Yes.
going to look like when we put our trust in God. We just know it's going to work out, even if it's not the
Yes.
plan we thought it would look like,
Yes,
I love that.
exactly. It's like you said, trusting God no matter what. Like even if things are looking low, like I don't know if I can make it to the next, someone the bill or whatever. Just giving and just trusting God that He's going to make it work, and it always works out for the
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
God has plans. I always read the scripture. God has plans to prosper you, not to harm you. All things work together for the good,
Yeah.
and what God has for you is for you.
Yeah.
I realized that even with my career. Looking at sometimes you look at other photographers, you look at, oh man, I wish I was here, I wish I was there. But guess what God has for you is for you, and in God's timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes you want things now, but then you look back and like, you know what, I'm glad I didn't get that opportunity at that point because I wasn't ready.
Yeah. That's
Right.
so good.
Yeah, so I think that really being continuing to prepare, I feel like preparing for what's next, but also trusting in the God's timing that it's going to happen exactly when it's supposed to happen. So
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? If it never happens, it's even if
mm-hmm,
faith. It's okay. Like
mm-hmm,
there's
even if
something different on the horizon that's
mm-hmm,
good for us too.
mm-hmm,
Like C.S. Lewis says that
mm-hmm.
comparison is the thief of joy. And then I love
Yes.
that the Bible also says like the joy of the Lord was my strength. And like
Mm-hmm,
pairing those two things is really cool. Like if comparison
mm-hmm,
is the thief of joy and the joy of the
mm-hmm.
Lord is my strength, and strength is what
Mm,
like helps us to prosper and get us through in life,
mm-hmm.
then I can't compare. Like I need to like ditch that, leave that in 2024, Like
Yes.
comparison is the thief of joy and the joy of the Lord is my strength. I got to keep that strength,
Mm,
So
mm,
I love this
mm.
conversation. I told you we were supposed to be friends. This is
Yes,
like
I'm serious. Like literally, Alex, I'm so glad we met because you're right. Like comparison is the thief of joy.
yeah.
Wow. And the fact that those two scriptures go together is
Yeah.
like mind blowing
Yeah.
because you have to continue to keep a straight and narrow, keep your eyes forward, keep your eyes stayed on the Lord, and He will continue to guide your path.
Yeah.
Because when I'm really in like my zone, I just keep my eyes forward and that's just focus on what I'm doing
Yeah.
in my career, and that's when you soar the highest.
Yeah,
Is when
that's
you're not
so
looking
good.
to your left, you're not looking to your right. You're continuing to climb your own hill because everybody has a divine purpose. And guess what? Nobody's better than nobody because
Right.
somebody always has something that somebody else doesn't have.
Right.
So being able to use what God has blessed you with and make the most of it, that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing for me.
That's
Just
so
maximize
good.
what you have.
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you already answered this with that statement, but just in case you have anything else to add, do you have any advice for anyone who maybe is like new to their journey with Jesus, new to faith, and they're wanting to maybe incorporate more of Him into their business?
Yes, I definitely would say, pray. I think prayer is very important, and sometimes if you don't have the words to say, just read the Bible because reading the Bible is just the same as prayer,
Yeah.
and you will discover so many amazing things just by reading the Bible.
It's God's word.
My faith is God's words, and it has so much wisdom
Yeah.
You know, if anything, I'm like, pray for wisdom,
Yeah.
you know, in on these things. And also um, my favorite book in the Bible is Proverbs, because it really shares so much wisdom on how to deal with it. Kind of just like, it makes it feel like a reality on like how to deal with situations, when to be quiet, when to talk, you know, when to, you know, don't invite yourself to the front, let somebody invite you to the front. Just like
Yeah.
little pieces of wisdom that you can use in your everyday life. I think Proverbs is such a great chapter to start in.
Yeah.
And my honestly, one of my super hacks with reading the Bible is I get a children's Bible.
Ooh, okay.
It's the same message, right? It's just in a different form, and I
Yeah.
feel like it breaks it down in ABC style. And I
Yeah.
feel like the main purpose is the main message is the word. And I got a teen Bible, and I have like a really thick like Bible. I mean, a really thick story time book, and it's for
Cool.
children. But I read it, and
Is
I'm
it
just
the
like,
storybook
yay!
Bible? The Jesus storybook Bible?
It is. It has like a lot of illustrations in it.
Yes.
I'm
The
not.
Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if it is the Jesus Storybook Bible, I kid you not, guys. I will read that before bed. Like I have it, but like
Yes.
it is so, so good. So for those of you guys who don't know, I serve with kids at church. And so I love the Jesus
Nice.
Storybook Bible. We read it
Mm-hmm.
to them and it's just so engaging. We give it to any new family who comes to church because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, y'all just need to read this with your kids. Like it's so,
Yes.
so good. And it tells the story of Jesus through the lens of like a story, you know, which is what the
Mm-hmm.
Bible is. It's the story of God. It's the story of him
Mm-hmm.
sending his son Jesus. It's the story of how
Mm-hmm.
we get to now take the mantle as the church. Like it's the story of
Mm-hmm.
his return. And like that's what it
Mm-hmm.
does. And it just puts it into these like kid bite-sized
Mm-hmm.
things, like you're saying. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so like beautiful. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's
No,
awesome.
seriously. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like you can't like you can get so much from a children's story. It's amazing. Like it just breaks it down and makes it super easy to understand. Because I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes people think reading the Bible is going to be like, "Horror out thou
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
comest," you know what I'm saying? But really, it's just like, "Come to
Yeah.
me," you know what I'm saying? I just love that.
I
So
love that.
don't get too caught up in like the, you know, King James version when you could just buy a children's Bible
Yeah.
and just learn the same
I
way.
love that.
My favorite scripture is, "I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me." It's an easy scripture, but it
Mm-hmm.
really keeps you encouraged whenever you feel down. You know, God has plans to prosper me, not to harm me. So if I
Mm-hmm.
ever feel, you know, I felt like I need some encouragement, I'm always going to remember that all things work together for the good, and God has plans to prosper me. So
Yeah.
um, just really reading scriptures and really reading like the Bible app. I mean, there's so many things, but the Bible app, I'll read that in the morning, like a Bible verse every morning,
Yeah.
just to have a fresh start. Because sometimes when you wake up in the morning and you go straight to Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
it's too much. It's stressful
So
to me.
loud. Like the
It's
the
so
social
loud.
media world sometimes can just be like a lot in your brain, you know? So to
Yes,
just
it's so
pause for a second
much.
and not have that speaking into me, I also appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yes,
That is
faith
so
is
good. Yeah,
huge.
that's so good. So your two things were prayer and reading the Bible. I love that you talked about the children's Bible. Somebody actually asked me, I did like a poll type thing or one of those like question boxes, you know, on my Instagram story asking what to talk about on the podcast. And somebody said how to read the Bible. So I think I'm going to do like a podcast episode really solely devoted to that. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I was going to say is you were talking about like getting a children's Bible, which I think is really cool. There's also the NLT translation, which is
Mm.
really a great one because, you know, there's all these different translations and I'll talk more about this like on that one singular episode for those of you who are
Mhm.
like, okay, get to the social media part, Alex. But I'll get there in a second, guys. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the NLT version is the New Living Translation. And what it is it's basically not like a word for word translation. It's like a phrase for phrase translation. So it
Mhm.
basically helps to interpret the Bible and helps put it into modern language. That's helpful if it's your first time reading the Bible, but you don't maybe want to buy a children's Bible because that might look weird
Mhm.
if you're sitting out by the pool reading that or something. But
Right,
no
right, right.
judgment here,
Yes.
but you know, for other people to say, I don't know.
Mhm.
But the
Mhm.
NLT version is a great one to start on too. So
Mm.
so I'll talk more about that on that episode. But let's move us on. Let's move us on.
Yes. I love that.
I love it.
NLT. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
keep that in mind too.
Yeah, it's a good
Mhm.
one. Okay, social media stuff. Let's chat about that. Cause like I said, your behind the scenes videos are so fun. They're so engaging. I love how like they're just fun. Like I don't know another word to describe it. You guys have to go and look at her stuff. What's your process for creating content in general? Cause obviously like a lot of it is like on a wedding day, it looks like. So how do
Mhm.
you create content with your audience? Do you plan ahead of time? Do you go with the flow? Tell me everything.
Yeah, so when it comes to when you mean like my content, you mean like what I do with my bridesmaids, like when I like do the transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that started like that started with like the TikTok trends when TikTok was popping in 2020 and they had all these dances and stuff like that. I saw a photographer like do I saw a bride like do one of these like trending dances, and I'm like, oh, that's super cool. And I had my brides do it, and then from there I just kept it going. Like they
Yeah.
did it one time, but I just kept it going and just like kept my ear to the streets, ear to the TikTok streets to see what trends were doing, like what trends were going and things like that. So really at first I was doing trends, but then like, sometimes on wedding days it's like, dang, there's no trends out this week,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to be original and I
Yeah.
need to think of something like that nobody's done. That way it could be an evergreen content and it's never going to get old. So I just was I was a dance captain in high school.
Oh, cool.
So thank you. So like I know how to dance, but I'm like trying to and I used to like teach my dance team how to dance and things like that. And then I'm in a sorority, so like I used to dance like and with all like I'm really big on sisterhood and making memories, and I know how important like those moments are with your girls
Yeah.
like before the wedding and things like that. So I'm just like I kind of just boost the morale when I get there. I'm like, hey, ladies, how y'all doing? I talk to all the bridesmaids, like trying to get to know them. And then I kind of talk to them like, hey, I got some ideas. I want to show you guys my ideas and things like that. And then we kind of just like, I just show them different things that I'm thinking. And then by the time the bride's done with her makeup, we just try like 3 ideas and then we
Cool.
put them together and then that's it. So I usually just do something that's like an 8 count or like a 4 count just to keep it easy on the wedding
This is
day.
above my head right now. I have zero rhythm. I have no dance. Like, I need you to teach me.
No, yeah,
I
it's
told you before we
easy.
started recording that my husband's a musician. So he's like, he just
Mhm.
shakes his head at me because I'm like, I got nothing.
You don't know rhythm?
Not at all.
That's too funny. Yes, I can easily teach you. It's easy. Like I feel like breaking it down into steps and just keeping it simple
Yeah.
is like the easy
Yeah.
part. But no, yeah. I mean, I sometimes we plan ahead of time. Like sometimes I text the bride and be like, "Hey, here are some ideas," or she sends me some ideas that she wants to do,
Yeah.
and then we just like just do it on the wedding day.
And
But a lot of times I catch them.
when you're doing this content, is this usually from your camera or is it from your phone?
So I started off on my well, first I started off on my phone,
Okay.
but then I realized like as the video kept getting played over and over again, it kind of lost its quality.
Sure.
So then I was like, okay, let me upgrade to my camera. So I would just like turn my camera sideways, vertical ways. But then when I was trying to do like more camera movement, it was a little struggle bus because it was like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, it was kind of shaky.
Yeah.
So then I got the Osmo Pocket 3.
A moment of silence.
The, the Osmo Pocket 3 changed my life because it's
Okay.
so easy, it's so small, and you can do so many movements with it
Yeah.
without being,
I've heard it's
without it.
awesome.
It's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm telling you. Like, I'm like, oh my God, DG really did a big one with this one. And you could do it vertical and horizontal. So it's
Cool.
just like amazing. So yeah, that's what I do.
And are
But I
you
did start off on my camera.
delivering those videos to your clients or is it something just for your social media? I'm
So
just curious.
so basically it's kind of like right now I'm kind of in the middle of basically like I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and send these over to them
Yeah.
because at first it was just it was like a passion little thing
Yeah,
I
it's just
did,
for
like it was just
fun.
like it was just for fun, like I just did it because I'm just like I'm taking pictures, my all my wedding packages do come with video, but I
Okay.
have like a videographer who does the videography for me and I just edit it, but I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit, it's just it's becoming like a
Yeah.
routine now.
Yeah.
Like I got to keep it fresh.
Well, I
So
feel like
yeah,
too, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like what you post is what clients are expecting, right? So, like, if
exactly.
somebody does the dancing video like you and they've never posted that before, their bride, their bride might be like, wait, what are we doing right now? Like, you're
Mhm.
taking away from
Mhm.
my day. But for you, they're
Mhm.
expecting it, they're excited about it. Something I
Mhm.
was doing a lot over the summer, and I really, really found this out for myself was so I live by the beach, right? I do senior
Mhm.
photography. And so me and these high school seniors at the end, I would wear my bathing suit and be like, hey, you want to jump
Mhm.
in? And I started recording
Mm.
it. And it pretty much was like every session over the summer, And I had one time I had a stomach ache. I have IBS, so it's like a whole thing. So I had a stomach ache. I
Mm.
was like, I'm not doing that today. And she was disappointed because she was expecting it. And I was like, oh, this is like a thing. Like this is like part of my
Yeah.
package now because I have accidentally marketed that way, even though I was just doing it just for fun because I'm me and I want to jump in the ocean in the summer in Charleston, you know? And
Yeah.
actually I marketed that way. So in the summer, it doesn't matter if my stomach is hurting. This is part of my experience. I wear my bathing suit, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. And you sometimes you do accidentally market a genuine moment, and it's just like, oh my God, now I have to do this for everybody. And it's
Yeah,
like, it's still really not a part of it's still not really a part of my packages. Cause I was just like, I don't want to add it because I don't want
right,
people to make it like stressful. Cause I
right.
really just did it for fun. And I think that's why it was so fresh to see and enjoy.
Yeah,
But now it's still fun. It's still fun. But like you said, people are expecting it. So I'm kind of like, I gotta keep my ideas on
yeah,
deck. You know what I'm saying? I can't just show up and be like, oh yeah, we're doing a reel. But sometimes, I think the clients definitely expect it now for
yeah,
sure. And it's okay. I think that's a good thing. That's a
yeah,
good thing. It's just I have to make sure that I'm on point.
yeah. It comes
You
with
know
the
what I'm
added
saying?
pressure almost. But
It's a
it's not
little
a bad
it
thing. It's not a
is.
bad thing. It's
It's
just
not a
different.
bad thing.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you want to still nail it with pictures
Hmm.
and the real package, but then you also want to nail it with the
Yeah. That's just a
real. So I'm
little
just now I'm
bonus.
looking like it's a bonus, but now I feel like it is kind of the package a little. I'm like, I really need to ask my brides, like, do you want me to send you sneak peeks of the fit photos or sneak peeks of the real? Because I think they want to see the real before the pictures. I don't even
Yeah.
think they care about it. I think they care about the pictures, but I think they want to see the real. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I had sent my photos. I had sent the link to like the wedding sneak peeks to like a vendor, and they're like, "Girl, we waiting to see the real." I'm like,
Oh, okay.
"Y'all don't care about my photos anymore." Nah, but I think it is a fresh piece of content for the wedding industry.
Yeah.
The wedding industry can be a little stale sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Everything's the same, so serious and formal and da 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 da. But I think the reels are taking social media by storm now. I feel like everybody do them now, right?
Yeah.
Does everybody do the reels and stuff now? I think they do. It's
Yeah.
from what I see.
Yeah. But I would say like yours are just so much more fun. Like everyone has their like
Mm,
unique take on it, your unique style. And like the next question that I was going to ask you is like what's your top tip for photographers or small business owners who want to grow on social media? But I kind of feel like again add to it if you haven't answered this fully or you have a different answer. But like I feel like the one thing that I keep hearing from you is like something original, like something different,
mm-hmm,
something that
mm-hmm,
is like unique to you, you know? So, like
mm-hmm,
for you, I feel like your dancing videos are fun, they're engaging, they're very unique to you. They come from your story, right? They come from like you being in high school and dancing and that being like a part of who you are and bringing that in. And so I like that it's like something that's like coming from more than just a trend. You know, like it's different for you
mm-hmm,
because it comes from like your story and who you are. So I'm wondering if maybe the tip is that like look at the things you like to do as a business owner,
mm-hmm.
look at the things you like to do as a human, and then implement that in. Like for me, somehow it was jumping in the ocean, you know? But
Yeah,
like
that's huge. That's
I
good
can't
because
do
I
that in
definitely
winter
am
though.
not.
You know, I've got
I
to
know,
figure out
like,
a
do we
new
need to
one.
go to a pool? Do we
Yeah.
need to go to a pool? Or y'all, if you want to do the jump in the water piece, y'all need to book me in the
Yeah,
summer.
yeah. No, that's right. No. Or you can come to photo camp because listen, photo camp, we're doing a heated pool situation this year. So
Ooh.
if you want a heated pool in March, we can all jump in
Hmm.
together, you know? But
No,
anyway.
seriously. Oh, that is, but no, but when you, so, like, to go back, when you said that, like, your clients were expecting that and they were disappointed, and it's like it hurts your heart when
Hmm.
you let people down.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Or when it doesn't measure up to your last one, or it's just it's being a creative. I think knowing that you did your best and knowing that you gave 100% on ground, boots on the ground, I feel like that's what we should lay our hat on.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because
totally.
sometimes you may not, like you said, you may not have felt like doing it that day, but client expectation, it's so important to set that client expectation ahead of time. So it's
Yeah,
like we don't want to be like rule makers. We want to be like, okay, well, this is how it's gonna go, because then it just takes the fun out of it. So
right.
how did you, when she said she was disappointed, how did you like
Yeah.
What did you respond? How did
I
you
mean,
respond?
she definitely didn't say that. Like, let me be clear too. She didn't
Okay.
say that. It was like a body language thing where I was like, "Oh no, she's sad." Like I could tell it was actually her whole family. They'd paid extra. I don't do like family sessions, like I don't offer those, but for my senior portraits, if they want to
Hmm.
add like family members into it, we can do that sort of thing. So our whole
Hmm.
family, they'd come from out of town. They were like destination senior.
Oh
And
my
like they had an amazing time. So like I did everything else. My experience regardless of jumping in the ocean
God.
with
Yeah,
them
yeah,
was
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So like it's not like they were disappointed in everything. It was, and
Oh
I did like behind the scenes videos with her at the end, if I remember right. She got in the water and stuff like that. So, and I took a video of that. So like it wasn't that she was like highly disappointed in the service as a whole. It was like, oh, I'm sad because that was something that she just had an expectation of in her head because it was something that I'd posted about, in the past with other
yeah.
seniors. So it was like she felt like she was missing out on something, even though that was never
Mm,
a part of my expectations, never a part of my
right.
communication with her. But because I was
Hmm.
posting about it, it was something that she
Hmm.
saw and wanted. So we just have to be really
That's
like,
true.
obviously like social media is just not that serious, right? Like
Hmm.
we do not have to think that serious about things, but at the same
Hmm.
time when we're marketing things for our business, sometimes we do have to like
Hmm.
think about what other people or what our potential clients are looking at when it comes to our
Hmm.
social media, so
Yeah.
it's just
Hmm.
important. But yeah.
When you like realize that, not to talk about it, but
Hmm.
because I'm interested to know like the next step after that. So after that experience, did you, for all your other clients, did you feel like, okay, you need to make it clear that we're jumping in the water, or did you jump in the water with everybody else after her,
I
or
think
how
I
did
did.
you?
I think I was like, oh, I gotta jump in the water. I think
Ah.
I also like it's not ever like an expectation. Like there's a lot of times where I'll wear my, not a lot, but like many times where I'll wear my bathing suit and be like, hey, if you want to get in, and then it's really windy that day, they're not feeling it, like it's too much work. And they say
Mhm.
no. But like
Mhm.
I kind of put the offer on the table. I'm pretty positive until it got colder. I prefer every senior that I had at the beach after hers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
And
just
that's a
because.
learning curve. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's a learning curve. And when you know that, oh, this is what people are expecting, it takes some clients to learn from, like, okay, this is what they want. Let
mhm.
me go ahead and give it to them. And if they don't want to do it, at least I went down swinging. That at least I
Right,
offered it to them.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I tried, like, da da da. So that's true. And
Yeah,
sometimes, like with me in the reels, like some clients don't have enough time to do all the reels. You know what I'm saying? But I do make sure I do record a reel for everybody. And sometimes it doesn't turn out like the top tier, or sometimes it just kind of like you could tell we ran out of time on here and there.
sure.
So I just make sure I either just send it to them so they can view it. But sometimes it does take me, like, I think sometimes it may look like it takes me like 5 seconds to put it together, but I really do be sitting there with that
Mhm,
little 15-second video for like a
mhm.
couple days. I'd be like, okay, let me come back to it, and then I come back to it, be like,
That is so
so it's,
funny.
it's it's like a puzzle
Yeah.
that I'm putting together. And sometimes a song comes out, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna put this, because sometimes I don't even do a song. I just kind of just do the movements,
Oh,
like just
cool.
dancing, and then I put a new song to it, so it
Yeah.
kind of just matches. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so funny that you said that. I was in Tampa, Florida, where my brother and my mom live for like,
Hmm.
New Year's, Christmas time. And I did a video with my mom and then I had to edit it to post it. And she goes, does it always take you this long to edit a video? And I was like, yeah, this is my job. But like people don't know what they don't
Yeah.
know. They don't know that it takes
Hmm.
that long. And it does. It's really
Hmm.
hard work. But at the same
Hmm.
time, it's so worth it when you get
So worth
clients
it.
because of it. Like when you can use social media as yes, fun, yes, a way to showcase your values, your
Yes.
personality, who you are, but also as a way to market your business, you're in a sweet spot. So, how do you feel like
Yes.
or what are some like mistakes that you feel like maybe you see other photographers or people on social media making that don't allow them to market well?
Being self-aware
Mm,
of their marketing strategy, like not really being intentional with what you're trying to do. So if you're saying, oh, I want to be a wedding photographer, but you, like, I look at your page and you have like 10 baby showers back to back, you have to market what you want.
yeah.
So whatever you post, that's the next client you're going to get. If you post a graduation session a senior session, guess what? The next inquiry is going to probably be a senior session.
Mm-hmm.
So just being intentional with your marketing. I feel like you say you want to do one thing, but then you're posting a whole bunch of other stuff. So locking in on a niche and quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
So being intentional with your marketing, posting what you want your next client to be, and quality over quantity. We love all of our clients and we want to celebrate everyone, but everybody doesn't. Those first 9 squares on your Instagram gotta be
Yes.
popping,
They
because
matter.
guess what? When clients are searching for photographers, you're not the only person that they're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to impress them in those first 2 rows, or swipe to
Yeah.
the next person, like thinking about knowing that you're not the only photographer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not the only person out here that's taking pictures. A pretty picture can only go so far.
Yeah.
So quality over quantity, being intentional with your marketing, and what was the other one? And being informative, educating your
That's
clients,
cool.
right? So not always just posting a pretty picture, but attaching some type of educational content to it.
Yeah.
This is a pretty picture, but hey, we shot this in Daytona, Florida during golden hour. This is a perfect time to shoot your photos, X, Y, and Z, if you want this, like just kind of adding that
Yeah.
educational value to it, because then your clients are learning and then they're going to be more drawn to
Yeah.
you. And then I would say the last one is like, be original, set your vibe, like offer something that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be original. Like, don't just be a copycat all day. Like, it's good to be inspired by other people, but find what makes you different. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I think it's important to get to know yourself,
Yeah. You
right?
know,
Because everybody say,
I also think that's such a good thing for all of us to hear in the new year of 2025, the world of AI, right? Like
mm-hmm,
AI can be such an incredible tool for your business,
mm-hmm,
but if every caption that you write or every story that you're posting or every thread or even just responding to emails is AI and it's not in your tone and in your voice, you are no longer credible or trustworthy to the
mm-hmm,
client who's looking at you because they want to know
mm-hmm,
you. Like that's where it's so
mm-hmm,
cool that you do these dancing videos
mm-hmm,
because of your story and your past and who you
mm-hmm,
are. And it's the same
mm-hmm,
thing with like captions and like what they hear is important from
mm-hmm.
you, you know?
Exactly, because people buy from who they like, love, and trust.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, know, and trust. So being yourself, being authentic, like you said, AI is taking over the world. So
Hmm.
that's if you can offer your authenticity and
Yeah.
your originality, that's going to set you apart 100%.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean we
And
can't use AI as a helpful
you can
tool,
use
right?
AI,
But
yeah.
helping to prompt what you're writing rather
Mm-hmm,
than using it or even if it does help you to write, like making sure you're feeding it exactly how you want it to sound so that it
mm-hmm,
sounds like you and not like a
mm-hmm.
robot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly,
That's good.
exactly, and also showing the authenticity. A lot of photographers don't want to do this, but getting in front of the camera,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Talk to the camera, get in front of the camera. Getting in front of your camera counts as eye contact, right?
Yeah.
So if the more they see you, the more they're going to connect with you and they're going to trust you and they're going to be like, you know what? I want you to book me. I want to book with you because I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I think photographers are camera shy, and they want to hide behind the camera. But I think in this day and age, it's important to show up and to show your face
Yeah.
to your audience. So
Yeah.
I think those are a lot of things that can set you apart,
I
from
love
a
it.
lot of a lot of people.
I love that. Okay. Girl, we've been talking for so long now. I'm like, everyone's getting
Yes.
tired of our voices, so I'm going to shut us down. But tell me what is next for you. Do you have any big dreams or goals that you're working towards in 2025? Just tell us the tea. Tell us everything.
Yes, I have so many dreams.
Don't we all?
um, yes, this year is my 10-year anniversary for my business.
Woohoo! Let's go.
10 years, boots on the ground.
It's amazing.
So thank you so much. And thank God for allowing me to make it this far.
Yeah.
And I want to continue to, maximize. I always say, like, don't let your biggest accomplishment be your biggest failure.
Mhm.
Don't sit too long on accomplishments because there's always more to do and more people to serve. So,
It's cool.
my big dream for this year is to release a bridal magazine.
Whoa!
I'm stepping into the
That's
magazine.
so
Oh,
fun.
thank you. I'm so
I was
excited
not
because
like, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. So that makes me so happy because it's so original.
thank you. And I mean, it's like from an artist, as an artist, I want to be able to share my platform with other creators, other photographers, other
Yeah.
videographers, anyone, and I want to be able to help people get their work published.
So cool.
Because I feel like as a photographer, one of our goals is always to get published for our work to be seen by more people. So being able to share my platform and provide that for others, I want to be able to do that in the photography community and in the wedding community. So that's my next big to do is doing a wedding
That is
magazine, a bridal magazine.
amazing.
Thank you. And of course, working with Nikon this
Yeah,
year, this is like
of
my
course.
first brand deal. So I'm like, making sure that I, cross all my T's and dot all my I's with working with them. And I'm super excited to see what we can create.
Yeah,
Um,
that's incredible.
what else? What else? Let me think. Because, so this year I was like, continuing to talk about what you want to do and speaking it, giving it life, putting it in the atmosphere and not being scared to share your dreams and what you want to do because it's going to come true. Um, Dang, the one thing I was going to say, what is it? Of course, continuing to capture more love stories. Like wedding photography is truly my passion because I've been
Yeah.
married for 10 years. So I know how it feels to be a bride. And my sister is also married. And really what made me like tighten up with like being super thorough when it comes to my wedding photography is my sister had a very bad experience with her wedding.
Oh,
She did
wow.
not she did not like any of her pictures on her
Oh,
wedding. Like she
that's
got her
so
gallery
hard.
back and she was crying. And I'm like,
Oh,
this is before I really stepped into it. So then I'm like, oh my God, I never want
yeah.
a bride to ever
Yeah.
feel like that. So I take wedding photography very serious. And just to share like something that I was thinking about real quick, I love wedding photography so much. And I think that it's super important to put your heart and your soul in your photos because at the end of the day, these pictures mean a lot now, but in 10 to 20 years, they're going to mean so much
That's
more.
right. Yeah.
And I was talking to a wedding planner the other day, and she was like, your work is going to outlive you,
Hmm.
right? When people go back into their archives, they're always pulling up wedding photos. They're always pulling up graduation pictures. They're always pulling up baby pictures. Like our work, it means a lot and it's going to be in people's families for centuries.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about like, okay, making sure everything is right and perfect because this is there forever.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for me is really making sure that I put my heart into everything that I do.
That's so
And
good.
yeah,
Oh, making us
yes.
cry at the end. I love it. Okay, well, tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, book you if they want, tell everyone where they can get you.
Yes. So follow me on Instagram at Neshaszda Z Photography. So it's Neshaszda spelled N as in Nancy, E as in elephant, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, Z as in zebra, D as in dog, Z as in zebra photography. Whoa. That was a mouthful.
I love it.
When I'm on the
How about
phone,
this?
I'm like,
I'm going to have it in the show notes for everyone too. Just in
yeah,
case they
click
were driving and they're like, guys, I cannot write that down. Don't make me.
no, yeah, exactly. Click in the show notes. Yeah,
Yes.
click the link in the
Yes.
bio. But also just know that if you type in any SHA on Instagram, I think I'm the only Neshaszda in the world.
Yeah.
So definitely that, and then just be on the lookout for my magazine. Be on the lookout for my other projects that I have coming up.
So
I have so many
exciting.
big dreams, and I'm excited for God to be there and do them with me
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, doing your best and striving for better more is always the goal. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Alex, for reaching
Yay! I'm
out.
so glad we finally got to meet. Listen, we're gonna just have
This
FaceTime calls from now on just to yap
no,
together.
seriously,
I'm
because
dead serious.
no, I'm serious, Alex, because at the end of the day, it's being a photographer is kind of like you kind of a lone wolf a little bit. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? If you don't have a big community of photographers around you,
Yeah.
it can be a lone wolf job. So
Yeah.
when I connect with you and connect with other photographers in my area, I'm just like, oh wow, like we can relate on so many different
Yes.
things and talk about so many different things. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for reaching out.
That makes me
like,
so happy that you
seriously.
said that, because genuinely that is my goal with the podcast. That's my goal with Photo Camp. Like, that's my goal with my life and with my business, is like, I want people to feel fueled in their creativity, their community, and their coaching. And I want this to be a place where they can get those three things. So I am so excited. Okay, I'm going to end us out because we are at 52
Okay.
minutes, and I know anyone driving is like, girl, I'm done with my road trip. I got to go. All right, y'all. You've been listening to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Love y'all. Bye.
Let's